We begin with a developing story that could affect students and parents right across the state. Bus drivers are considering whether they should boycott bus lines after yet another driver was king-hit by a student. Jessica Ross joins us now, and Jess, the drivers are absolutely furious.
They are, Bill, and certainly the ones that drive around Helensvale State High where we are tonight. They've been complaining about the behaviour of some of the students here for months, and it's gotten to the point where we understand at least half a dozen refuse to drive these particular runs. This latest incident has really sent them over the edge, and according to the bus company, it started over something as trivial as the driver asking older students to make some room for younger kids.
A busload of students watched on in shock as their driver came under attack.
We've literally had a 17-year-old adult, effectively, king hit one of our drivers.
The union says the driver had been trying to move preschool and primary students away from a group of misbehaving teenagers.
Immediately following this brutal assault, the teacher, who was also on the bus, had to wrestle the youth to the ground.
There have been ongoing issues at Helensvale State High. Last month, a driver abandoned a busload of students on the side of the road, fed up with their behaviour.
And if we're forced to, we'll look at putting a ban on this school until this situation's fixed.
I think he's going a little bit overboard. I think he's really overboard.
No, I think it's a bit of an embarrassment for the school, actually. I think the school should probably take some action against the child that's doing this.
Surfside Bus Lines has hired security guards to randomly patrol selected routes, but the company doesn't support a boycott.
Well, it's not in our interest. We're here to provide a service, and that's what we're trying to do.
The Education Department claims the video is inconclusive, while the student claims he wasn't the one in the wrong.
The parent and the student were up at the school first thing this morning to complain about what happened on the bus.
Now, the driver has only received minor cuts and bruises. He was back at work this morning. The company and Education Queensland are investigating, and I must say the school wouldn't be too impressed with some of the behaviour we saw this afternoon with students catching the bus home. Our cameraman was mooned and had water thrown at him. You do expect them to play up a bit to the cameras when there's one around, but it certainly doesn't do them any favours and only gives the union more ammunition. Georgie?
I'm sure. Thank you to Jessica Ross. And let's go straight to Ursula Hager, who has more on this story. And Ursula, you've discovered Brisbane bus drivers are also considering school bans.
Yes, we've learned that drivers from 2 bus depots in Brisbane's north have today voted to boycott several stops in Wavell Heights and Kedron after an incident with a driver several weeks ago. It's understood the driver was trying to break up a fight between school children on his bus and has subsequently had an allegation made against him. Now, he's been taken off the road while that is being investigated, but the union for drivers here in Brisbane is very concerned about this incident. They want the driver reinstated, but they also want extra security officers put on all school routes to ensure this doesn't happen in the future.
It would be good to have proper supervision so that we can be sure that the driver's not left alone with school children and that we can concentrate on driving the bus. Some children are bigger than our drivers, and we've had incidents where kids have bashed drivers.
Now, the union involved in that Gold Coast incident hasn't ruled out further boycotts of other areas where they're concerned about violent school children. They've requested an urgent meeting with the Transport Minister over the issue.
But certainly, we wouldn't discount looking at additional bans should we be faced with similar circumstances at other schools. And if bans have to be that solution in the short term, then that's what we're prepared to do.
That was Scott Connolly from the Transport Workers Union there. Now, the Transport Minister has invited both unions to a bus safety committee meeting next week, but we understand there is no extra money in the kitty for additional security measures on the buses. So, Georgie, this isn't the last we've heard of this yet.
Thank you, Ursula Hager.